The Final Four is now set, which means we are back for the final episode of Tourney Watch. With two fantastic games last night, today we'll take a look at game highlights and social media fun from the evening. Here to give you a Final Four update are Jack Kaiser and Jerry Matheny.
Yeah, the best teams rose to the top the last few days, which means we're set up for two fantastic games in the Final Four.
You're exactly right, Jack. The four best teams in the NCAA this year, they are in the Final Four. It's exactly what we wanted.
Well, let's take a look back at how we got here with the final two games from the Elite Eight, starting with Notre Dame and Stanford in the Chicago Regional, winner to the Final Four. Early on, it was back and forth. Second quarter, Cardinal down one. Kiana Williams stop and pop for two. Stanford takes the lead. A couple minutes later in the second, Arike Agumba-Wale finds Jessica Shepard. Turnaround jumper in the post. Tied at 22. Next possession, Dijone Carrington. Wide open for three. That's too easy. 3-point lead for the Cardinal. Jump ahead to the third. This is where the Irish started to take control. Jackie Young softly sends it in. Notre Dame up one. Leprechaun Legion starting to get into it. The defense from Brianna Turner. What a block from the senior. Irish showing off the defense again. The steal. Agumba-Wale hooping the harm. 10-point Notre Dame lead. 7 minutes remaining. Marina Mabry. She's got the green light, and she puts the Irish up by 12. Notre Dame takes control late and is moving on to its 9th Final Four.
We're here with head coach Muffet McGraw. Coach, this group is taking you guys back to the Final Four. How did they do that?
I didn't think it was going to happen at halftime. We were playing as bad as we can play, couldn't make a shot. And to see what they did in the second half.
Who does Notre Dame have in the Final Four? UConn. The next chapter of a rivalry that's produced so many great moments over the years is ready to be written. Arike Agumba-Wale hit the game winner in this exact game last year. Irish went on to win the title with more Agumba-Wale heroics, but earlier in the season, UConn was the victor by 18 this year, 89-71 in South Bend. Notre Dame averaging 89 points per game this tournament, just about what they averaged for the season, which leads the nation. UConn spectacular on offense as well, averaging 80 points per game in the tournament, shooting 40% from three. This is the 8th all-time meeting between Notre Dame and UConn in the Final Four or national title game. The Irish have a 4-3 record in those games. Got the last laugh in 2018. It's going to be fun to see what happens in 2019.
Iowa versus Baylor in Greensboro, our final ticket to the Final Four to be punched. We start in the third quarter. Baylor up 14. Dee Richards makes it 16. Later in the third, Mackenzie Meyer off to Davis for the deep three. Hawkeyes sticking around in this one. Still in the third quarter, it's Richards again. Sophomore has come alive in this tournament. Other end defensively for Baylor, Nalissa Smith with the huge rejection. To the fourth quarter, Megan Gustafson inside scores her 1,000th point on the season with that lay-in, but Baylor ultimately was too much in this one. They take care of business with some nifty passing underneath. Kim Mulkey and the Bears back to the Final Four after defeating Iowa.
To me, I'm going to remember cutting down the nets with these guys after winning a Big Ten championship. I'm going to remember Tanaya's resolve coming back. I'm going to remember Hannah Stewart's journey. I'm going to remember getting the opportunity to coach one of the best basketball players in America, and Megan. And that's what I'm going to remember about this season. I'm going to remember the relationships and just the great memories with these young ladies. So I'm very, very fortunate and very, very blessed to coach them.
Certainly you start with seniors. I am so happy for those seniors. I am so happy for those players, and I'm happy for Baylor University. I'm happy for Baylor University. Plaster that on the front page of every national newspaper. It doesn't get any more positive than this.
With the win, Baylor will take on Oregon in the Final Four. Baylor, the #1 overall seed in the tournament. The Bears, the top scoring team during the NCAA tournament, shooting just under 52% from the field. The Ducks will go from Eugene to Tampa, led by Sabrina Ionescu. She's helping the Ducks put up 77.3 points per game and shooting an outstanding 47.9% from three-point range. Friday, April 5th in Tampa, Baylor and Oregon.
ESPN play-by-play Brenda Van Langen now joins us. Brenda, we'll start with the tournament overall. What has been your favorite moment so far?
Wow, there have been so many favorite moments. It's hard to pick. I really enjoyed the matchup between Notre Dame and Texas A&M. Arike Agumbawale, along with going head to head with Kennedy Carter, and the performances, the scoring. It was so much fun to watch. There have been so many great performances. I was in Ames, Iowa, and Missouri State was able to advance to their first Sweet 16 since 2001, when Jackie Stiles led the team to the Final Four that year, and she's an assistant coach on the bench. So that was another fun moment in the tournament. Just so many fun moments this year.
And we've seen a lot of spectacular play in the tournament. Who has been your most outstanding player?
Wow. That's going to be a difficult one. Sabrina Ionescu has been terrific all year for Oregon, and her performance throughout to lead Oregon to the Final Four, their first. I'd have to give her the nod, but Katie Lou Samuelson has been terrific. Arike Agumbawale, Kalani Brown of Baylor, Megan Gustafson of Iowa. We've seen a lot of great performances throughout the tournament.
We definitely have. And outside of the first team All-Americans, who has been an X factor in the tournament?
Wow. As you look across the board, and I'm going to go to the site that I was at, first and second rounds. I was at Ames, Iowa, and just the performance overall, I'm going to give it a team nod to Missouri State, making it to their first Sweet 16 since 2001. And they're led by a former point guard that won 3 national championships, Kelly Jolly Harper, who is doing a terrific job at Missouri State, and assistant coach Jackie Stiles, who took her team to the Final Four back in 2001. I think that team, that Cinderella story, was a really special part of this tournament.
Baylor has rolled to the Final Four. What do the Lady Bears have to do to win another national championship?
The Lady Bears have won championships in 2005 and 2012. It's that next 7 years now that they have an opportunity. They're back at the Final Four behind the strength of Kalani Brown and Lauren Cox inside. But the guard transfer, Chloe Jackson from LSU coming in and stepping in at that point guard, has been so critical. Juicy Landrum as a shooter, Dee Richards, who's had outstanding offense during this tournament, even though she's really known as a defensive player. They need to have contributions from all 5 of those starters and some bench play as well in order to win another national championship.
Once again, ESPN's Brenda Van Langen, thank you for the time.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
64 all the way down to 4. Jaron, we just previewed the matchups. I think it's safe to say we're in for 2 awesome days of basketball.
And we got the 4 best teams clinching their tickets to the Final Four. That's exactly what we wanted out of this tournament.
Again, the matchups: Notre Dame, UConn, Baylor, and Oregon, both taking place on April 5th, the national championship game, just a couple of days later. We have our best 4 teams, but who were the best players this year? The AP All-Americans were announced yesterday. So many deserving players, but these 5 stood out all year. Gustafson, Collier, Ionescu, Durr, McCowan, all 4 led their teams to the Elite 8, with Collier and Ionescu playing in the Final Four Saturday. Jaron, the talent, the leadership, the numbers, off the charts.
And Megan Gustafson, the ESPNW Player of the Year as well, averaged 26 points and 14 rebounds during the NCAA tournament alone, scored over 1,000 points this season. Gustafson certainly deserving of that honor.
ESPN analyst LaChina Robinson joins Tourney Watch. LaChina, really appreciate the time. You were on the call for Oregon and Mississippi State. Ducks are on to the Final Four. Why were they able to get it done this time after losing in back-to-back Elite Eights?
Yeah, thanks, Jack. Really appreciate you having me and for doing this. I was fortunate enough to have Oregon last year in the regional final, so I've got a good sense of kind of where they hit that roadblock against Notre Dame last year and then where they were able to get over it this year. And I think we kind of forget, because Oregon has had that Cinderella run, Sabrina Ionescu's freshman year, that they were only sophomores last year. So not as experienced as some of the teams that they were up against, but because of their talent, their ability to score, just how good they are, the expectations have been high. But last season, Sabrina Ionescu told me that, she felt like Notre Dame really bullied her team, that they were the tougher team. And they've worked so hard in the offseason and coming into this year, not just obviously on the physical part of the game, but also the mental part. And I just felt like this year they were able to get over the toughness hump. Last year against Notre Dame, the Irish made all the plays down the stretch. This year it was Sabrina Ionescu and company. So I just think their ability to hit big shots and make plays on the offensive end last night, obviously Sabrina was great. Maite Cazorla hit a big shot, but also Ruthie Hebert's defense. She had some defensive stops towards the end of that game that were big for Oregon. So they were finally able to get over the hump, and I think it had a lot to do with their mental toughness.
Sabrina Ionescu is an incredible player, but what about her impresses you the most?
Wow, that's hard because obviously she's the three-headed monster, the triple-double queen for a reason. She can do a lot of things well. Scoring the basketball, her ability to see the floor, and rebounding. But I think really the thing I love about Sabrina more than anything is just her competitive drive. Like, she wants to win. Her will to win, her desire to go out every night and impact the game in a variety of ways and make her team better is it's very rare. It's unlike very many players I've seen. I think of some of the greats in our game, and they all had that. And I know Sabrina is still growing as a player, and we don't know as a junior if she's going to declare for the WNBA, but she just definitely has a bright future, and it starts with her work ethic, but also her competitiveness. She's fiery, and we saw a lot of that against Mississippi State, and now Oregon advancing to their first Final Four.
LaChina, we'll leave you with this. From the Final Fours and the national championships that you've watched, what does it take to win on that stage?
Boy, the number one factor that stands out to me for teams that have been able to actually win it all is experience. I think it counts for something. When you've been to the Final Four, or when you've got a veteran team of juniors or seniors, upperclassmen that have been in the battles and know what it takes, I think experience counts for a lot. But it's really your ability to just stick to who you are. Like, whatever your team's identity is, can you bring that, for two games, for two big games straight? And how you respond, obviously, to the bright lights is a big factor, which, definitely comes into play. But also having some flexibility. I say you got to be yourself, but things aren't going to go perfect. So how your team responds to adversity, whether that's foul trouble or not shooting well or whatever that may be, that part of the game, I think, is something that the ones that go on to win it all are able to cope with it and get over. But again, I just go back to that mental toughness that it takes.
Before we let you go, you wanted to give a quick shout out, correct?
Yes. So college fans, we know that you are enjoying watching all of these seniors in college women's basketball and some juniors that may be headed to the WNBA. Don't forget, the WNBA draft is the week after the Final Four. It's Wednesday, April 10th. 7 p.m. on ESPN2. I'm wearing my WNBA t-shirt just to remind you, but we hope that all the college fans will not stop with your love for women's basketball here, but join us during WNBA season, starting with the draft on April 10th, 7 p.m. ESPN2.
A lot of great things surrounding women's basketball happening right now. ESPN analyst LaChina Robinson. LaChina, thanks for joining Tourney Watch, and enjoy the Final Four.
Thanks, Jack. Have fun. See you guys in Tampa.
Notre Dame has punched their ticket to the Final Four, and last year's was one for the ages. The court has now been laid in the hopes of another exciting Final Four. Let's take a look at some of the fun. Well, guys, what are your expectations for this year's Final Four?
I expect a great Final Four, to be honest. Notre Dame and UConn, Baylor and Oregon, two unbelievable matchups. We saw what happened with Notre Dame and UConn last year. Arike Gumbawale hitting the game winner in the national championship as well. I expect a lot of the same dramatic sequences and fun games.
I expect the seniors to show up in a big way, especially in that UConn-Notre Dame game. You've got Arike Gumbawale and Brianna Turner for Notre Dame, and then for UConn, Nafisa Collier and Katie Lou Samuelson for their last ride of their careers.
And that's a wrap for Tourney Watch. Thank you to the entire Ball State Sports League production crew, as well as everyone at the NCAA for their hard work over the past few weeks. Remember, you can continue to follow all of the tournament action using hashtag NCAAW. For Jack Kaiser and Jaron Matheny, I'm Rachel Berry, and thank you for watching Tourney Watch. Enjoy the Final Four.